Yeah, what's going on, everybody? It's yours truly, the Ace, back with another video. And in today's video, I'm debuting the newest segment on my channel, Behind the Teams, where I take a fan from all 32 NFL teams and bring them on this channel to talk about their favorite team. So if you're interested, hit me up at the Ace Avenue on Instagram to come on and talk about your favorite team. So in today's video, I got my boy Brad, who is a long-term Steelers fan, if you can't tell by his shirt, man. Thank you for coming on, man. Brad, how you doing today?
I'm doing awesome, bro. Just ready for the season. Ready for the season.
I feel you, man. It's a long summer, man, like without football, man. I'm just happy to be doing this, and hopefully it rolls into the season really quickly, man.
Right, absolutely.
Yep. So we're going to go ahead and get right into it, man. The Steelers of 2022 finished in third place in the AFC North. What did you think about how you guys did overall last season?
To be honest, it was about what I expected. The last few years, have been a little rough, coming off the heels of the whole thing with Le'Veon Bell. We all saw how the whole situation with Antonio Brown, of course, with the retirement of Ben and, going through those seasons of, was he going to retire and come back? And then he would come back. So, I'm just glad to be on the other side of that now. And, now we can actually really be able to move forward. We don't really have those dark clouds, hanging over us anymore. And to be honest, I think had we not started so slow, with the way we picked up heat in the second part of the season, we probably could have slid into that 7th spot. But I know, as we've talked about before on other platforms, you lose 3 or 4 games, especially earlier in the season, and you're forced to play catch up on the other side. It becomes difficult. Even when you're winning, you still need help from other teams, and you just never know which way that's gonna go. So.
Yeah, especially considering the division that you guys got, man. The AFC North is a tough division. You got the Browns, who, like you said in other platforms, Deshaun Watson is coming back for year 2. You know what I'm saying? After him being reinstated. The Ravens, Lamar Jackson is back, and they seem to have given him some weapons. And the Bengals are a legitimate threat,
Right,
not just in the North, but in the entire AFC. You know what I'm saying? They are a good team. So.
Right. Definitely.
It was definitely tough sledding with you guys last year, especially with a rookie at Kenny Pickett. Overall, how did you think Kenny Pickett performed last season?
Yeah, it was about what I expected. Because I know we started with Mr. Trubisky. And I know the second he stepped onto that field, everything he did was gonna be, if he throws an interception, Roethlisberger wouldn't have made that throw. So, that's what I mean by having that Roethlisberger dark cloud, because we followed Ben for nearly 20 seasons, and this is our first year without him. So I was like, and considering the way he performed, numbers were pedestrian, middle of the pack. It wasn't overly terrible, but he wasn't knocking nobody's socks off either. So I expect him to take the handful of games that he did play and certainly build on that.
Yeah. And about 13 games, obviously he didn't play a full season. He still threw for almost 2,500 yards, more interceptions than touchdowns, but that's usually what happens with rookies that are trying to find their way. But like I said to you before, as long as you guys have Mike Tomlin under helm, you know what I'm saying? I feel like you guys will always be competitive, because he is that one staple coach that will, as long as he's there every single Sunday, he'll have you guys ready and running through a wall. And he's a leader of men, man. A good coach is somebody who can be a leader of men, and you guys got one of them. So I feel like as long as you guys got him, you guys can be competitive in a very tough division.
Yeah, and the thing I love about Mike the most, he's very, as I like to say, he's very matter of fact. If you play trash, you play trash. If you play very well, you play well. If you're playing at a Pro Bowl level, he's going to tell you that you're playing at a Pro Bowl level.
Yep.
He's not, he's not going to mince words. He's not going to sugarcoat it or make it sweet, whether it's positive or negative or good or bad. And, that's why a lot of players, whether they're with our team or if they moved on to another team, they all say the same things about you.
Yeah.
And as you said, that's what makes him a strong leader of men.
Yeah, I feel you on that one. All right, so going into the offseason, what do you feel like after the 2022 season? What was your biggest need going into the offseason, and do you feel like you addressed it via the draft and via free agency?
Going into the offseason, this has been one of the more impressive off seasons. I believe we have, because as you know, Pittsburgh, we've never been one to make flashy free agency type picks. We usually go for what we need. If they just happen to be a flashy pick, then fine. But if not, it's about what we need. And in terms of what we did in free agency with the offensive lineman that we picked up, the Patrick Peterson pickup, and then of course what we did in the draft. I actually loved what we did in the draft. I feel like it addressed every need that we had, and it was a well balanced approach. Starting with the Broderick Jones draft pick. Out of Georgia. He's big, he's strong, he's nasty, he's athletic, he can move. And I think I think Kenny Pickett is going to really appreciate that protection.
Yeah, picking him up at where you guys picked him up at, definitely was a great pick because offensive lineman. This wasn't a big offensive lineman draft, but for you to be able to address a need at where you picked them was definitely a home run for you guys. I also, like I told you earlier, I love that pick of Joey Porter Jr. Him being a first round talent, him actually falling out of the first round, and you guys trading, you guys getting him was a steal. And I think he'll you addressed offense and defense all in one draft. So it was, your first two picks, you got yourself two guys that are at two very tough positions. Offensive line is a tough position. Quarterback is a tough position. You don't get enough love. Like, you can be dominating your guy all day. You make one mistake and people say you're a bust. So you guys addressed two big positions in the first two rounds. So I definitely think you guys did a great job this in the draft.
Yeah, and then of course, with the Keanu Benton pickup, he's like a D tackle, if you will. I know he can kind of move a little bit along the line, and then Nick Herbig, the edge rusher out of Wisconsin, the guy we drafted in the 4th round. I know he's really good, but I personally believe, and I'm not trying to be biased because I know I was a tight end, but the Darnell Washington pick, the tight end out of Georgia, I believe is gonna do wonders. 6'7", 240, freakishly athletic for his size. Like, that's gonna be a huge target, I believe, for Kenny Pickett. If he is what I believe he is.
Yeah. And Steelers tend to use their tight ends a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Let me ask you something about this guy in particular, just as far as from what you know about Mike Tomlin and their scheme strategy when it comes to Darnell Washington. Do you see him more of a on the line tight end or more of a spread out tight end?
It does come down to how Mike and Matt Canada, our offensive coordinator, does depend on how they scheme it up. I know they're usually very balanced with that. I know even back when we had Heath Miller, one of the all-time great tight ends to come out of Pittsburgh, I know it was a little bit balanced. Sometimes we may flex them out. I know he was an awesome blocker too. So I think it just depends. I know we do run a lot of 2 tight end sets. So I know that's gonna be a big thing as well. But I do believe, though, I think he's gonna be big when we get inside the 20-yard line. Going in the score, having a big body like that, I won't even be surprised if they even put him in some jump ball situations. Especially him being 6'7". I don't know too many DBs that'll be able to battle him. I think if Kenny Pickett can place that ball right, I think he's going to be able to win a lot of those jump balls.
Yeah, a good tight end in the red zone is definitely a threat. Like, look at how much like Travis Kelce eats, dude. Every time he's in the red zone, you know what I'm saying, he's scoring. You know what I'm saying? So a good tight end definitely is a good safety blanket for a quarterback going into year 2 and Kenny Pickett. So speaking of players, who would you say is going to be your breakout player going into the 2023 football season? Because you guys had some good players last year, like Najee Harris
Right.
was decent for you guys. You guys had some good receivers, getting after losing Juju Smith-Schuster, you guys in Washington, and you guys had Claypool for a while, you know what I'm saying? So they were able to pick up some of the slack. Who do you think is the breakout player going into this year?
I'm gonna have to say, like I'm stuck between two, but I think I'm gonna have to say Najee Harris. Najee Harris, I think he's going on his third year now. I think it's his third or fourth year, and I think it's time. As we know, the value of the running back has significantly decreased.
Oh, yeah, we're going through that with Saquon Barkley.
Right. You never would have thought, even somebody like Dalvin Cook, who's sitting in free agency right now, coming off the year that he had. So it just goes to show you. But I think coming back to Najee Harris, I think it's time for him to take that next step.
Yeah.
We've invested in our O-line. We're pretty much set to who our quarterback is going to be. Like I said, with a couple of linemen that we drafted, and Broderick and the Anderson kid out of Maryland, I believe it is. We really invested, probably more than we've ever really had in the past. We really have a lot of depth on the O-line. So I believe that, like I said, I think it's time for him to take that next step. It's time for him to step into that top 5, top 3 backs in the league now. So it's time for him to become that bell cow back. And Jaylen Warren, the running back behind him, Jaylen Warren can kind of pick up, the crumbs from there.
Yeah.
So,
of course, like one thing Steelers have been known for, like we talked about before, having good backs. Whether it was Jerome Bettis, Le'Veon Bell. It's time for him to step into that upper echelons of Steelers running backs that you guys are pretty much known for. That that 3 down back. Do you like that was my question that I didn't get to ask you last time. Do you feel like Najee can be a 3 down back? Like, because his receiving still needs a little bit of work, but do you feel like he can evolve into that kind of running back for you guys?
I believe so. I know he's had some little nicky-knack injuries here and there. Never really like slowed him down like that. But I believe he's one of the guys to where he can be very much a 3 down back. Like I said, he's big, he's strong, like. And usually the bigger running backs, as you know from the Brandon Jacobs days with the Giants, usually the bigger backs, they don't really last that long or even durable. So I was surprised. Yeah. So I was kind of surprised with him. He seems to be a little bit more durable than most. So I believe, of course, I don't want to run him into the ground, but I do believe he can be a 3 down guy.
Of course. So you gave me your breakout player. There's a couple breakout players I think for you guys that need to definitely step up. This person is, I'm not going to say breakout, because when people usually think breakout, they think like, just emerging. But TJ Watt has already emerged. But I think he needs to be your main guy to be able to lead your defensive line, because with how good your secondary is, with your acquisition of Joey Porter Jr., like we talked about before, with Micah Fitzpatrick, and now adding a veteran like Patrick Peterson, if you can get after the quarterback and strictly play man-to-man in the secondary, you can definitely cause a lot of turnovers, a lot of change of possessions, just from being able to send more guys than they can block. That's one guy, but another guy, which I like, is George Pickens. Him going into year 2, that rapport that he has with Pickett last year, and obviously the Pickett-Pinkins is a nice little play on words right there that you can have a little tandem. But I think that he's due to have a breakout season for you guys for multiple reasons. One, you guys are really good at finding those receivers, and 2, I think he could actually be your number 1 with the chemistry that he has with Kenny Pickett, both of them going into year 2. What do you think about George Pickens overall?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. If it all goes well, like I can see George Pickens, having a 1,000-yard year, maybe even more than that.
He had 800 last year, so yeah,
and that was with the up and down with the quarterbacks. So I believe he could be a 1,200-yard guy, 9-10 touchdown. type guy for the season because, as I said, his athletic ability, it ain't even up for discussion. It ain't even up for conversation. Like the catch he had in the Cleveland game, I want to say that was a Thursday night game. That catch he had in Cleveland was just it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like I was just like, yeah, he's next. Like he's up next. So yeah, I can see that one too. I can see George Pickens as well.
Yeah, that was a hell of a catch. Like I said, we watched it before. Very, very Odell Beckham Jr.-esque type catch. You know what I'm saying? Very contested, one-handed catch. And a guy like that is a good safety blanket for a young quarterback as well, because when you have that trust factor, even when it's 3rd and long, or if you're going for it on 4th and long, this is the guy I want to go to and will live or die with me throwing to him. And that's, a good receiver is a quarterback's best friend. So,
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, all right, man. Well, the last question I'm going to get into is what are your realistic expectations for the Pittsburgh Steelers going into the 2023 football season?
Realistic expectations, because I know we have one of the easier schedules coming into this year compared to what we had last year. I'm going to say between 10 and 12 wins.
Okay.
I think if all goes well, but again, for us, it's health is a big part of that.
Of course.
So I think if we can maintain relatively healthy, I believe, of course, our floor is not making the playoffs, but our ceiling is knocking somebody off in the playoffs. But it just all depends. How I'm a strong believer in chemistry. I believe you can have all the talent in the world, but if it doesn't gel together on that field, none of it matters. We watched that. I don't know if you remember, we watched that with Cleveland some years ago when they had all that cap money and brought in all these top guys and Odell Beckham and everybody just knew. Yeah, everybody just knew, and look what happened. Like nobody that was really a part of that team is there anymore. So I believe, but like you said, it goes back to Mike Tomlin, and I have the utmost faith he's going to be able to get these guys to buy in to what the scheme is and what we do. As he says, the standard is the standard. So if those guys are willing to buy in, the sky's the limit.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I absolutely agree. 10 to 12 wins is definitely going to be tough for you guys. All things considered, man, you're in a tough division, which is also in a tough conference. So, you got to hit. And the one thing the Steelers are known for is playing well within the division. So, at the very minimum, you're going to get a division, at least a division split at the very minimum. So if you can steal a couple of games here and there, the Bengals will be tough. The Browns, you guys could definitely, beat them as well. The Ravens, you guys kind of like go head to head every time you face them. It's a brawl and it's a battle. So
actually,
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say real quick. I think for this year, because my brother's a Baltimore fan. I actually might go to the game in Baltimore this year because I want to be able to feel it when we invade Baltimore and we win that game. You know what I'm saying? So, but no, I'm definitely looking forward to it, man. This is gonna be, even though I know the AFC is stacked, but there's no real juggernaut. You know what I mean? That's like, hey, they're just far and wide. I can say as the NFL as a whole is I can truly say anybody's capable of winning the Super Bowl. A couple of things go right for the Giants. They could have easily been in the NFC Championship. You know what I'm saying? So
we kind of got routed by Philly. So that we needed that kind of. I'll get into that whenever I bring somebody on for the Giants. But we needed that. Right. Sometimes you need your ass kicked to kind of see how far you are behind, so that way you can kind of like know where you need to go. But as far as the NFL in general, you know what I'm saying? You know how it is. The healthiest and hottest team wins at the end. So whoever's the healthiest, whoever gets hot usually wins. But Kansas City, as long as they got that boy Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, you can't put nothing past them. Joe Burrow.
Absolutely.
Joe Burrow and them thought that they were going to be able to do it. But, they showed them who they really were. So
yeah, I gotta say, so I know they were kind of, and I know they're young, but I know they were kind of feeling themselves there for a second, but they got humbled. Patrick Mahomes was like, "Look, there's levels to this, and y'all ain't there yet."
I got my boy Ant coming on soon. Actually, I'm recording him tomorrow. I don't know when I'm going to drop it, right? Because I got to make the thumbnails and everything for it. We have a sports group chat where I said before Patrick Mahomes even threw one pass in the NFL, I said he was going to be him. So I got a couple people that will be coming on here that I need them to. I need it as proof because don't nobody believe me because I tell people I'm like, yo, I called Patrick Mahomes being this good. They're like, well, that was easy to see. I'm like, no, I called it before he even threw a pass. So I need proof from people, and I'm gonna upload it up here. So that's what I'm gonna do.
I'll tell you this real quick. I knew he was that guy when he came out in 2017. I think we played them. I want to say it was maybe like the third or fourth game into the season. Ended up being a shootout. I think they beat us like 43-38, 43-37. It was a mean shootout. He threw 6 touchdowns.
He's a beast, dude.
I was sitting in a Hooters and I looked to the right. I looked at my boy and I was like, yeah, he's gonna be him. He's gonna be that guy.
Dude, I posted, look, before he even, because he sat it for a whole year behind injury. I posted a video in the group chat that we had of him Texas Tech highlights, and I was like, he's him. This guy's gonna be him. And they're like, we'll see. He's not even gonna be starting year 1. And then all of a sudden, look at it. So I just got to get that out the way. But nah, as far as the Steelers overall, man, like I said, as long as you guys, just to wrap this episode up, which I appreciate you coming on, by the way. Of course. As long as you guys have Mike Tomlin, which, like you were saying, you can probably have him for about another 5 years. You know what I'm saying? You guys will always be competitive, and he will always have your guys ready to go as long as you guys got that, man. And I feel like, with him with the headset on, you guys will be all right.
Yeah, and I'll just say real quick. I know for us, because it's actually something we've struggled with in the past, and I think that's why I'm so big on it. I've always said, usually, and I know they always say it's not how you start, it's how you finish. But I think when it comes to the NFL, usually the first quarter of the season will usually kind of tell you how the season's going to go. And I know we've struggled in years past with starting slow, where, we'll start off 1-4, 2-5, and, we'll end up catching fire, but it ends up being too late. So I'm hoping going into this season, whatever they have to do, however they have to change that, to where we can hit the ground running. I'm not going to say start off 5-6-0 and all that and be realistic about it, but a lot better than what we've done in the past is what I'm hoping for in terms of starting the season.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I'm gonna hold you to that. I got you on video saying 10-12 wins. So if you guys mess around and hit about 7, then we're like, Chris, what happened? I'm like, Brad, my boy, what happened?
Yeah, I might have to go to Pittsburgh and get a headset myself if it's looking like it's going that way. So I might have to.
So we'll see what happens, man. But look, man, I appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you for popping in again. You know what I'm saying? Because I keep transparency with my entire channel. This is actually our second time recording because I messed up the first recording. So I appreciate my boy Brad for coming on the second time, man. Because most people would have been like, man, I don't got the time for it. But I appreciate it, man. But look, to everybody out there, man, if you're interested in coming on this channel to get your start or whatever, you want to just come on here and talk about your favorite football team, message me at the Ace Avenue on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, and we'll make it happen, guys. We would definitely make it happen. But before I let you go, Brad, you got anything going on? I know you were telling me you were thinking about doing a little something, but let the people know.
Yeah. I haven't really started like my presence, on the whole world of social media, albeit whether YouTube or Instagram or whatever. But I am going to start putting together. Like I said, I've been relocating back to the area. I just relocated here just this past week, so I'm still trying to get settled and situated. Once I do that, I'm thinking about doing a format to where I want to be able to bring sports debating to the world of YouTube. Kind of my own way, put a little bit of spin on it. It's basically going to be first take and undisputed for the YouTube world. So, I'm definitely going to start working on that sooner than later.
Cool. Yeah, and I'm all for it, man. Hey, whatever you need me to do, man. You need some help, you need me to come on, you need me to help you out. I'm all for it, man. So I appreciate it.
Yeah. And then also too, I was gonna tell you real quick, man, I wanted to connect with you about the sports betting as well.
Okay.
Because I do a little bit of that as well. So I'm definitely gonna tap in with you about that.
Definitely. Like I said, FanDuel, DraftKings, I do it all. Good with the baseball bets. Like I said, that's the only time, like I said before, that's the only time they're getting plugged on this channel, man. Very briefly, until they decide to be sponsors. Then I'll plug their asses all day with then I'll, you know what I'm saying? Then I'll put it all over, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. But look, man, I appreciate you for popping in, man. Thank you again, man. I appreciate you. Like I said, to anybody out there, if you're interested, definitely hit me up, man. But as always, guys, thank you for tuning into the Ace Avenue. I am yours truly, the Ace. Adios.